Hey everyone, welcome to From the Depths. I'm Menti, and this is episode 53 of the Battleship Brawl Season 4 tournament. In this episode, we've got the Vehicle 207 by Kiwi Burb going up against the Flying Dutchman by Downtown. Both of these ships have already been looked over before. This is their second battle each, I believe, so we'll go ahead and get right into it. No need to look over anybody. We've seen them before. Both ships firing almost immediately, and yes, 207 is one of the ships that does not have the required accuracy set, and it looks like, well, Flying Dutchman landed some good shots there, right into the neck of this turret, but the armor held. The turret is okay, despite taking a direct hit. That's pretty impressive, not the easiest thing to pull off. Flying Dutchman taking some hits there, and another, and some more. Also looking like it took some direct turret hits there, and the guns survived. Or at least the shells hit in the deck right in front of the turrets. It was a little bit hard to tell. Flying Dutchman launching some shells back at Vehicle 207. Vehicle 207 has actually lost that gun that survived earlier. Does not seem to be functional anymore. But Vehicle 207 does have the size advantage here. Ooh, those shells were aimed a bit low from 207. They hit the water well before they should have. 207 taking some heavy hits to that front gun. I don't think, nope, that gun is disabled. Only this rear gun is still alive, so while the 207 may have the size advantage, its guns are not performing very well at this range. Flying Dutchman is doing just fine, almost fully repaired itself. It is at 100% health. Ships seem to be aiming a little low there. Flying Dutchman is getting torn up pretty, or no, Vehicle 207 is getting torn up pretty bad, my bad. Whereas the Flying Dutchman is basically able to keep up with the damage of 207. And just keep itself repaired. 207 dodging some shells there with its turn. Oh, not gonna dodge those ones though. Bao taking some more shots. Now, if 207's guns were still still had all of its guns, this might be a different story here. But the Flying Dutchman definitely has the advantage for now, at least while it has materials to repair with. So it's a matter of how much damage can it do before it runs out of materials. Because I think the gap will start closing at that point. With it being at full health and 207 being rather significantly damaged at this point. Oh, it looks like the rear turret there on Flying Dutchman took some damage, but it has been repaired. Just like that, it is back in working condition, firing away. Vehicle 207 is just a solid, massive stone. Durability through size and block count, rather than armor and resistance to damage. And yeah, I think if those two other guns hadn't been destroyed rather early, This round could have gone completely differently. Oh, that rear gun didn't just get disabled this time. It got popped clean off. And that is going to be the end of the Flying Dutchman's materials. Oh, that rear gun also getting disabled, it seems, somehow. I don't know how. I don't see any damage. But it's not aiming anymore, and the Dutchman does not have any materials for repairs. So... this is the point at which the Flying Dutchman could start losing ground. If 207 can hold on and keep fighting through all of the damage it's received, it could make a comeback, because now the Dutchman doesn't have its repairs. Dutchman is significantly smaller than the 207. Significantly smaller than most ships in the tournament, to be perfectly honest. So it does not resist damage anywhere near as well. It relies on its repairs, but with no materials, well, no repairs. Oh, and there's a good shot to the lower portion of the Dutchman's hull. Those shells, they keep falling way too short. I think we might have some aiming error. Aiming error combined with trying to aim at the bottom of the ship. By aiming error, I mean we have different barrel lengths on these guns. And since they don't have individual local weapon controllers, the turret is trying to aim with one of those three guns. And since they have different barrel lengths, they have different muzzle velocities, which means all of them aiming at the same spot with the same elevation means only one of them will actually hit. Like that top one, yep, that must be the one that it's aiming with, because it managed to land a shot. It doesn't help that it keeps aiming towards the bottom of the Dutchman. Like, aim higher. Kiwi, you need to fire your gunners. There we go, that's a solid hit to the Dutchman's side. But with only just over 3 minutes left in the battle, and effectively only one gun available on 207, I think round one is going to go to the Dutchman, but I've been proven wrong before. Oh, and that shell actually detonated from a depth charge directly under the Dutchman and managed to do damage despite missing. See, the gap is closing between the two ships, but I don't know if it's going to close fast enough. It might. It's like I said, the Dutchman's armor is not particularly resistant to damage. Like, when it takes a hit, it loses a lot of health. Because of its small size and small block count. It's also listing heavily at only 90%. It's also very low in the water. Oh, I guess it doesn't have a depth fuse. It must have just actually hit the bottom. That one shell a minute ago. Yeah, it must have. 207 over here. It's taking a lot of hits. And I think two of its barrels are the same length now, so that means it actually has two guns. Unless both of those guns are not the one that, or neither of those guns are the one being aiming with, it still only has one. The Dutchman is really low in the water, though. If it takes too many more hits, it's going to start getting disqualified for sinking. Possibly even an 80% sinking situation. Oh, it gained 1 second of disqualification time. That's basically 207's only hope of pulling a victory out of the match at this point, is cause the Dutchman to sink. But in 3 seconds, that won't be possible. Nope. Nope, even if the Dutchman were to go to the bottom of the ocean right now, it would not gain enough DQ time before the end of the match. Dutchman is so low, though. Listing so heavily. Like, if the time limit weren't 10 minutes, I believe 207 would end up winning in the end. But the time limit is 10 minutes. And there is just under an 8% difference in health right now. Which means unless the Dutchman lands some really good shots with its next volley and does some major damage, or the 207 has to do the major damage to the Dutchman. 81.1 to 88%. That is a 6.9% difference, which means Flying Dutchman is the winner of round 1. We will go into round 2 here, get it right underway, and we'll see here. Did the Dutchman get lucky with a few volleys and knock out the turrets early, or is the Dutchman just outclassed, or is 207 just outclassed by the Dutchman? Why do I keep getting these two confused? It's like the New Mexico and the Arkansas all over again. Dutchman taking some hits there. Ooh, one of its rear turrets knocked out. But it does have pretty decent repairs. We might see that turret come back online. Some more shells coming in on the Dutchman. That raking fire. Very dangerous for weaponry. Oh, that front gun is getting awfully close to being penetrated. But no, so far it has taken barrel damage, but the gun itself is still functional. Flying Dutchman taking some heavy hits there. And yeah, with the 207 having both of its guns, it's actually able to do consistent damage and force the Dutchman to burn through its materials much more quickly. Oh, that rear turret on the 207 took a direct hit and lost one of the guns, at least. Dutchman also losing a turret, completely popped off. Dutchman is still technically leading by hit points, though. But that will change quickly when that last 1,500 materials wears off. And it is gone. Dutchman no longer has anything to repair with. 207's volleys coming in, gonna land right in the side of the Dutchman. Big hole ripped in the side of the ship. And yet still the Dutchman has the hit point lead. Barely, but it has it. I don't know how much longer that's going to be true, though. .207 has done significantly more damage by this point than it did last round. And it almost won last round. Dutchman taking another hit is starting to list heavily again. And it has actually fallen behind in hit points now. It is going to have to land some critical shots on 207's weaponry. To have any hope of coming back. I have to say that while the Dutchman has done more damage, has taken more damage, it has also done more damage. It seems to me like. Oh, that rear gun just taking a hit there. Or actually, I think that might have just been, yeah, that was the list pulling it out of its firing arc. The guns can no longer elevate enough to fire. Bow of the Dutchman taking some hits there. Oh, that shell went right through, over-penetrated. Dutchman is actually gaining disqualification time, I just noticed. So it is officially sinking. I don't know why it's decided to back up. Maybe it has an anti-sinking measure. So if its nose starts going down, it backs up to keep it from driving itself into the ocean floor. But that isn't the issue. The issue is just a lack of buoyancy. Doesn't matter which direction you drive. Sail, whatever you want to call it. This round is going to go to the vehicle 207. So we are going into round 3. It is a 1-to-1 match, therefore the 5% rule does not apply. We will get that right underway. This is a pretty good match. These two are even enough to go to a round 3. Even if round 1 may have been a little bit of luck on the Dutchman's side. We'll see. Maybe round 2 was just luck on 207. You know? If the Dutchman can manage to knock out some of those guns early again, slow down the 207's DPS, you know, I could potentially still pull a win out of this. But we will just have to see. .207 taking significant hits. Ooh, Dutchman losing a turret there. Also lost this other gun. Those are some big, big shots by 207. Dutchman is actually about to run out of materials already, even faster than round 2. Probably due to that weapon damage. Those cram parts are expensive. And Dutchman, you're gonna have to do some weapon damage to the 207, otherwise, like it's gonna outgun you. Well, not outgun, but basically just it is more resilient. It doesn't rely on repairs to stay alive. Well, seems like it took my advice and hit this front gun. I think it did that before I actually said that. It's a start, but it's not going to be enough. The Dutchman just destroyed its own popped-off turret there. Couple of shells coming in, landing on the Dutchman. Not doing a whole lot though. Those were deck hits, and strikes to the deck don't do all that much damage to most ships, unless they've got like a wooden deck or something. I don't think anybody does. I mean, this is a wood and stone deck, you know. I'm talking like 1 meter wood. Yes, Dutchman down to 89%. Vehicle 207 at 90%. 207 is in the lead, and like I said, the 5% rule does not apply when you go into match 3 with the score tied. Looking to be in okay shape. It's listing a bit. Oh, that gun just took a direct strike and doesn't seem to care. Armor on these turrets is pretty strong. They are able to resist hits from single shells pretty decently. Flying Dutchman down to 85%. Last time it got this low, it ended up sinking. But I think the damage is a bit more centralized rather than spread out this time around. It's mostly right in here. So it isn't quite having the buoyancy issues it had before. Looks like 207's having a bit of accuracy issue again, probably due to those damaged barrels we saw earlier. As you can see, when that gun fired, the shells had different arcs. The different muzzle velocities when they were fired, or they had the same trajectory but different arcs because of the different muzzle velocity. So one of them ended up missing. That one over-penetrated and detonated outside the Dutchman. Dutchman down to 80%. But still floating fine, not listing. It's starting to have a little bit of high water issues. So far she's holding together, continuing to fight back, but the Dutchman is steadily losing ground to the 207. 207 getting very low in the water now. She loses much more in the way of buoyancy. She's going to get an 80% sinking. Oh, most of the deck is under the water. Only the bow is holding her up. She takes a hit up here. That'll be the end of it, for sure. Oh, just where that shell's heading. No, gonna hit towards the center of the ship, where the Dutchman is taking a lot of damage already. Oh, there we go. There's a penetration to the bow. That's going to cause some flooding, some loss of buoyancy, and I think that might be the end of the Dutchman here. Oh, maybe not. Keeping her nose up because the propellers are angled downwards. Basically staying afloat via drag at the moment. Got a minute and a half left in the match, and it is a 12%, well, 11.5%, close enough, gap. The Dutchman is just not going to close that in time. Basically, the only question left at this point is, does the 207 get itself disqualified, or does the Dutchman sink? Man, barrel damage is a real problem on the 207. Looks like this one's going to end up going the distance, folks. Oh, and there's the 80% sinking on the Dutchman. Oh, but it went away, and time is up anyway. Regardless that is an 11%, almost 12% gap in health there. So Vehicle 207 wins round 3 and the match. So as always, check out the description for the Hall of Beauty votes for these ships, as well as all those other description-y things. And otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the battlefield.